Hi, here we are with the last paper of the semester. And let me just say, first of all, congratulations for hanging in there. I know it's hard to do this class. It's especially hard to do this class online, and it's hard to do the class online in summer. So congratulations to all of you who have made it through. So the last paper is called the proposal argument essay, although sometimes I refer to it as the policy argument essay, because, well, frankly, that's what I've called it for many years. Your editors for the Everything's an Argument text like to call it a proposal, which can be confusing because we do proposals, so that's why I like to still use the word policy instead. The proposal argument essay is to be a minimum of 2,000 words, okay? So we up the ante here, but don't freak out because we're going to get there a lot faster than I think you realize. 2,000 words in which you present and support an argument of proposal as defined in Everything's an Argument, Chapter 12. Your essay must cite a minimum of 8 outside sources. So again, we've upped this. 6 of which originate in print or have print analogs. At least 4 should be from scholarly sources, such as dissertations, academic journal articles, or university press books. These sources must be presented in correct MLA fashion with both parenthetical in-text documentation and a works cited page. Keep in mind that some of you are still having some problems with this, and it's definitely affecting your grades. Dictionaries, encyclopedias, and other general reference works do not count as sources, although remember, they may be used, okay? Your essay must start with an abstract of your essay, which should run about 100 to 200 words. The abstract does count towards your total words. So an abstract is a summary. And of course, you've probably encountered them already this semester. Whenever you go looking for an article, particularly one of the journal articles, and particularly if you've used our JSTOR or EBSCOhost databases, you have probably gotten sources that had, at the beginning at least, a brief abstract, a summary. In what that summary does is it tells the reader what to expect to read in the article. That's why they exist. So instead of having to read a long and complicated academic journal article, if you look at the summary, you go, oh, okay, this is what I want, or oh, no, this is not quite what I'm interested in. Okay, it's a very common thing in academia to see these abstracts. As always, the topic will be a topic of your own choosing, but just as a reminder, there are a few topics that are off limits: abortion, death penalty, child abuse, and religion. Certainly, there are many other topics to choose from. You must also provide a word count of your essay at the end of your text, covering only your actual text. The essay will be divided into 3 major sections called problems, solution, and benefits, as discussed in the sample proposal policy essay video. So you really need to look at this sample essay. Okay, so if you haven't been in the habit of looking at the sample essays, which, by the way, we're there to help you, you really need to make sure you check the sample essay on this module. You will need to submit a rough draft on Wednesday, August the 7th, 11:59 p.m. The more work you put into the draft, the better your final draft will be. Based on previous experience, I can tell you that the difference in the grades of essays that have been peer edited and those that have not is striking. Be sure to consult the out-of-class essay guidelines, which some of you again have been not so good at, and the MLA handouts so that you avoid errors in presentation and style. As before, you should submit the rough draft both to me and to a peer group. Peer edits will be due on Thursday, August the 8th, 11:59 p.m. So let me point this out. The previous 3 assignments, you've had 2 days to do the peer edits. This time, you only get 1 day. You only get 1 day because our papers have to be turned in. The final paper has to be turned in on Friday, August the 9th. So we don't get 2 extra You don't get that extra weekend, I should say, the 2 extra days of the weekend to finish up your paper. Everything has to be in by the 9th. So revise and polish your essay and turn in the final draft at close of day, Friday, August 9th, 11:59 p.m. No late essays will be accepted. The course will be closed. That is the end of the semester. So while some of you have needed to turn in work late that I have accepted because you had good excuses or reasons for it, that's not going to work on the final paper. Okay? That's not going to work on the final paper. It's all got to be in on time. Minimum requirements for this paper, at least 2,000 words. The 2,000 words does include the abstract. You have to have at least 8 sources cited in the paper. You can always have more, please remember. At least 6 originate in print, and at least 4 sources are scholarly work. Okay? Remember, originate in print refers to the idea that they're books, magazines, newspapers, academic journals, government reports, things of that nature. Doesn't say how you got them. You could get them online. That's not a problem. And 4 of the sources are scholarly sources. So that includes academic journal articles, dissertations, published theses, and of course, university press books. As I said, you may have more sources than the minimum. Okay, I always kind of am curious as to how many people seem to cut off their own work. Abstract at the start of the essay. Abstract is roughly 100 to 200 words. The problem, solution, benefits format, which is best seen by looking at that sample essay. Let me just describe it for a second, because this is so important. The policy essay, the proposal essay, whichever one you want to call it, same idea, is where you are proposing a change to policy. You say there is a problem. Now, the good news for you, we live in a time of many problems. So, with problems, there really are 2 types. There's the problem that everybody knows is a problem. Everybody knows, hey, we've got this problem out there. But they disagree with how to solve the problem. On the other hand, sometimes people look at something and say there is a problem, and other people say, no, there is no problem. An example of that might be, for example, global warming or climate change. Many people think there is a problem. Many people argue that global warming is occurring. But there are still some people who say, no, it is not a problem, or it's not a problem we can do anything about because it's just natural, right? That kind of argument. So if you're going to tackle, for example, just throwing that out, climate change, you would have to show in the problem section that there really is this issue. This is why I said a long time ago, you may remember, that the argument of fact is the basis of other arguments. And this is, the problem section is in some ways the easier part of this paper because you've already done it. It's like an argument of fact, where you say something is so, okay? So if you want to say, Social Security is running out of money, we have a problem with homelessness, right? All these kinds of things, right? Immigration or illegal immigration or even legal immigration, depending on what you want to talk about. By the way, I do not have a list of topics for this assignment. There's no sample topics handout because, as I said, there are so many possible topics anyway. I want you to go out there and find something to write about. The solution. Now, the solution has to be some kind of change to law, practice, regulation. It cannot, and let me emphasize this, it cannot be a quote-unquote play nice solution. What I refer to as a play nice solution is something where people say you should do something that really isn't enforceable by law. So if you say, we have a problem with obesity in America and we should solve that by everybody being healthier. Well, how is that going to happen? How are you going to legislate that? How are you going to mandate that? How are you going to make that happen? You can't just say everybody should live healthier lifestyles. Yeah, maybe they should, but you can't make it happen, right? On the other hand, if you say we need to lower the drinking age to 18, okay, that's a concrete, specific change in law, right? So the solution has to be a series of concrete, doable, realistic actions. I don't want any insanely, violating human rights kinds of things. We say, for instance, nobody can have a child until they pass some sort of test and get a license. Right, really? How's that going to work? That's not doable. It's a violation of all kinds of human rights. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that. Again, avoid the play nice policies, avoid the unrealistic policies. Don't say, well, everybody should have a tutor who goes to school, a personal tutor who's with them all the time. Come on. How's that going to be paid for? How are you going to find that many good tutors? This final section is the benefits section, and this is where you show that indeed the problems that you addressed in the problems section will be taken care of, will be solved, ameliorated in the benefits section. A weakness in a lot of papers that students write on this assignment is just assuming the benefits are obviously going to be there once they introduce the solution. It is not assumed, it must be shown. Problems, solution, benefits. And while the sections are not necessarily all equal length, they are all very important. MLA documentation, of course, for both in-text and works cited page. Some of you are still using APA format or some other bizarre format or no format whatsoever. Stop that. So, this is our final paper. It should be really the best paper of the semester in terms of showing me what you have learned, what you can do. Okay. It's a challenge because, of course, it's a little bit tighter on the time frame because we don't get a second weekend. I understand that, but this is the hand we've been dealt. So, good luck. Have at it.